Hello guys, Tuesday today. We are in our 21 days of prayer. This is our second devotional. I hope that you will continue with us in the foreseeable future. We're talking about Moses right now and his burning bush experience. You see, God is always about getting our attention. Sometimes we're so distracted. Sometimes we're so devoid of any energy. We have been going through the routine of our religious experience, whatever that may look like for you, and we are desperately in need of something to spark something. And God will very often use a burning bush type experience to do that. The problem is that we're not always watching for it. We're not always waiting for it. We don't live in expectation of it because it suddenly happens upon us, and as a result of the experience, we are never the same again. I can remember as a younger person having the number of burning bush type experiences without there being a burning bush, but experiences with God that were really meaningful. And I look back on them, and it is upon those things that I have held to my calling. You see, God called Moses at the burning bush, and I would put money on it if I were a gambler, that when Moses was going through the wilderness with a bunch of grumpy, Israelites, he must have said, Lord, why am I doing this? Why don't I just go on my own? Why don't I just get back and do my sheep thing and just go back to the old life? And then he would remember his calling. He would remember the burning bush. You see, every one of us, as we journey on in our Christian experience, is going to go through disappointment. Is going to get disillusioned from time to time. We might get angry from time to time. We're certainly going to have disillusioning experiences every now and then. And it's at those moments we say, why am I doing this? And I hope that you go back, like Moses, to the point of your call. God has called you. You don't get to say yes or no, or God has called you. You get to just say yes and do what he tells you to do. That's the wise side of things. But very often we get distracted, we get disconnected, and we lose the sense of call. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but maybe there are people out there who were once on real fire for the Lord. Maybe they were in some kind of real ministry that they just felt so called to. But then something happened. I don't know what it could be. Maybe somebody trashed your ministry. Maybe somebody didn't take you seriously. Maybe somebody disqualified you by bad-mouthing you or trashing your reputation. I don't know what it could have been. But I urge you just to listen to me today, to say, return to the original call. It has not changed. It is still there. God doesn't call and then change his mind. Oh, no. Okay, you were the wrong guy. Sorry, I'm going to call somebody else. So you're off the hook. You're never off the hook, people. If God has called, he's commissioned, and he's calling you to what he wants you to do. Now, there's a couple of things that God wants us to do. The first thing he wants us to do is live like Christians. And that's what every single Christian is called to that. The Beatitudes give you a great model of what our faith should look like. We read Hebrews 11 and we see what real faith looks like. We see the teachings of Jesus about gentleness and kindness and compassion and mercy and all of those things. And those are things that every one of us is called to. None of us is not called to those things. But then there is sometimes a specific call that God uses, where he says, I have a specific reason, a specific purpose for you, and I need you to fulfill that purpose. The first one is universal. We're all called to that. The next one is for you. And if God should call you to something by a singular experience or a revelation of something, I've had a few of those, and I tell you, they're beautiful and they're powerful. The revelation of God, that he shows you something that you may have seen, but you haven't seen. You may have seen it so many times that you don't see it anymore. And every time you refuse to hear the call of God, it gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. Until if you keep rejecting it and not responding to it with obedience, eventually it's just a dull whisper in the back of your mind. You can barely hear it anymore. So respond while the call is loud. Respond while the call is on. Respond immediately to the call. When Jesus called the fishermen, Peter, James, and John, on the seashore, I love the fact that the text says that they left their nets and they followed Jesus. There's an immediate aspect to responding to the call of God. If you don't do it immediately, there's a large percentage chance that you probably never will. So if you've heard the call of God in the past and it's got dull, rekindle it. It hasn't changed. If you hear the call of God soon, respond immediately and say, Lord, I'm ready. Speak to me. What is it that you would want for me to do? Respond quickly, people. There's a lot at stake. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.